Bonjour, my name is David DeVere. I'm a wine educator and traveler, and you're watching Savvy Nomad TV, the Eau de Vie edition. This is episode 6 of How to Pick a Wine. Today we're talking cheap Cabernet Sauvignon, $6.99 a bottle. How do they even afford to ship it or bottle it or cork it or pay people to sell it for that? It's cheap, but does that make it better? Let's find out right now. Now, everybody's got this story. It's the story of the cheap wine that was exceptional. That's what everybody wants. They want to get a cheap wine that's so yummy and delicious. Even the liquor store people are into that. They tell you, oh, everyone's buying this. This is really good. This is a great deal. We're all hunting for the value wine, the wine that doesn't cost a lot and tastes really great. But wine is not a commodity. It's not like gasoline. When gas is $4 a gallon, you're kind of, no, you're like, why does it have to be? Because $1 gas, which it used to be, is the same gas. Now it's just gone up in price. Supply and demand. That's what drives the price of gasoline. But wine is not driven by those kind of factors because you have quality indicators in wine. So cheap wine has, you can assume, has less quality than wine that is higher in price. The problem is when you start going up and up and up and up in price, the wines do become higher quality, but the differences become more subtle. When you go the other way, down in price, the wine differences become more noticeable. So with these two cabs today, we're going to assess whether the $6.99 price point is noticeable to find lower quality wine. Well, okay, but you might say, wait a minute, what do you think the middle is? I think the middle is like 20 bucks, at least in where I live in northern Minnesota. If you live in a more broadly producing wine area, you might be able to source wine cheaper, or if you live in a place that doesn't have as many taxes on wine, it might be cheaper. Or heck, if you live in France, you've got an entire country full of cheap wine that is really high quality. Okay, so quality and price are linked. When you go down in price, you get less quality. When you go up in price, you get more quality. Well, we're going to taste these wines at the bottom of the scale. I mean, it's not really going to get much cheaper than $6.99. So let's talk about what are the quality indicators you get in Cabernet Sauvignon. Cab is king. That's the little catchphrase. Who is queen? I don't know, maybe Pinot Noir or Merlot, but Cab is king. It's a big, bold, beautiful wine. It should fill your mouth. It should be slightly grippy, or in high quality indications, it should be velvety smooth, yummy layers of fruit and maybe the aromas of rich leather or tobacco or cedar or wet forest floor. Cabernet Sauvignon aged would be like that. Young Cabernet Sauvignon might be green pepper. Some people can smell it, other people can't. It's a genetic thing. I know it's weird. Go ahead, look it up. Then you might get blackberries, plum, you might get blueberries, they call them red fruits, those kind of things. Not really cherry, that's Pinot Noir, but you're going to get those kind of red fruit aromas. Maybe even a little eucalyptus in cabs that come from other parts. We've got a French cab and a Bulgarian cab today. Now, the thing to remember about Cabernet Sauvignon is that it's extremely aggressive by itself. It's very grippy. It is kind of astringent, meaning it's drying or bittering on the mouth. And so to fix that, they add Merlot into it, which smooths out Cab. Now, Cabernet Sauvignon can age for a long time in very good indications, But at $6.99, this is not age-worthy wine. It's not going to get better in the bottle. It's pretty much done and ready to go. Our Bordeaux Superieur, don't be confused by the label. The word superior means the greater area of Bordeaux, the large area. So it's actually a lower quality indicator. And it says Grand Vin de Bordeaux. They all say Grand Vin de Bordeaux. That means big wine of Bordeaux. Okay, super. This is a blend of 60% Cab and 40% Merlot. Now, Rough Day, our Thracian Valley wine from Bulgaria, they say it's 100% Cab. Wow, that's kind of rare. Not kind of, it is rare. I've only ever had one other Cabernet Sauvignon that has just 100% into it. So, quality indicators we're looking for. Velvet in the mouth. The acidity should be nice and bright. We should not smell the alcohol. The balance in the wine should be good, meaning nothing is plain more than the other. There should be fruit aromas, or there should be matured aromas like aged leather and cedar, that kind of thing. If these wines have just a little bit of that, it's going to get a lower score. If it has a great amount of that, it gets a higher score. The yumminess factor needs to be there. Those are the quality indicators of Cabernet Sauvignon. Let's talk a little bit about these two particular wines and then taste them. Okay, so the Costco brand has the Kirkland Signature Series stuff. All that stuff is essentially cutting out the middleman, cutting out the distributor. They're making these wines and they're putting the Kirkland label on them, so they are going to be a better deal. Just, they're going to be cheaper. In fact, I recently have been enjoying the Kirkland XO Cognac classes to come in the future, but that is really quite a nice cognac. So I might be enjoying it just slightly too much, actually. So I do believe that Costco does source high quality items. $6.99 though, man, I don't know. I'm suspicious. Okay, well, let's see what we get. We have a real cork. That's nice. It's not plastic. It could be. In Cabernet Sauvignon, you want deep, rich color. The more red the wine, the higher the pH, and thus the more stable the wine. So it's going to age better. The more purple the wine, the lower the pH, the less stable it will be, and so it's not as age-worthy. It is freakishly bright in here today. It is so sunny, and the snow on the ground is making it really bright. I'm trying not to squint, but let's take a look at this wine. It looks pretty dark to me. What do you think? Yeah, that's nice. Look, oh, it's almost black. That color equals good extraction. You want nice color in your wine. Okay, so I've got dark, and I'm going to go, what color is this going to be? I think it's more ruby than purple. Tasting card, link in the description so you can do your own tasting card. Help you break apart the components of the wine. Okay, now we're going to smell it. Swirl and smell. It smells cool, but it's been in my basement. It's 54 degrees. Did I mention it's winter here? It's March everywhere else. It's winter here. It's not overly aromatic, but I do not notice any kind of alcohol burn. I don't really notice a lot. It's very low. So in the aroma chart, I'm going to give it a 5. Nice aromas, nothing to get excited about, but there's no faults. So 5. Okay, now I'm going to taste it. It's a dry wine. It has a medium body. The acidity seems okay. The wine is tart. The tannins are slightly grippy. They're smooth. So tart for acidity. I'm going to give it a 5, which is nice, but nothing special. It's not doing anything. Particularly French cabs go very well with fatty, meaty foods. So if you had a nice steak with this, or you had some yummy pork chops, this wine would probably taste better. Balance. How's the alcohol? Fine. Feels a slightly warming in my throat now that I've had it for a second. The tannins are grippy. The acid is fine. It's fine. I'm going to give it a 5. It's fair. It's just because of that tinge of the alcohol. Complexity. Let's see if it actually tastes different. Is it opening up? Maybe. Now the complexity, when I say tastes different, I'm looking for extra aromas after I taste it. I've got the smell as one, but then when you ingest the wine, good high quality wines will give you new flavors, which is the exciting thing about wine. If it does do that, that's complexity. Here I can get the oak. The producer said 12 months in oak. I can definitely smell and taste the oak. But some flavors, yes. Are they disappointing? No. Are there multiple distinctive flavors? No. I'm going to give it a 5. Finish in length. How long does it go? If it goes a long time, it's better. If it goes a short time, it's worse. The finish is okay. There's no metallic tastes in the wine. That would be a poor finish. But there's no there's no desire for me to want to have another sip. It's not big, bold, and delicious. I'm not going to suck this down and then pour myself another glass right away. So the finish is medium, and I'm going to give it a 5 because there you go. It's in the middle of the range. All right, I'm going to cue up the rough day. Okay, so the rough day wine falls into a category of kind of inexpensive wines. Can you see that? Gosh, I hope that's coming through. I like the boxer. I think the dog is cute. The label is pretty close to serious. But these wines, they're marketed to people who buy wine simply based on the label and the wording. So this is Rough Day Cabernet. They're not even going to give you the Sauvignon on there. They're just going to say Cabernet. This falls into almost, not quite as bad, but almost into the cupcake, flip-flop. Those sorts of wines are really cheap, really inexpensive, and really bland. If you're buying those wines, do yourself a favor and just buy a box of wine. The box wines will actually taste better and be better values than cupcake or flip-flop. Now, Rough Day, where does that fit in? It's $6.99. It's from Bulgaria, so it's going to be something. Is it going to give us a rough day? Well, we'll find out. So here we go. Is it going to be a real cork? Yep. It's a real cork. It's composite, but it's real. Okay, that's a score in its positive factor. I like real corks. I'm not really into plastic corks. Screw caps, Totally okay with a screw cap. Nothing wrong with that. But plastic, you know, I don't know. Cork is renewable. Plastic, well, you got to pump it out of the ground, and it's oil after all. Okay. A rough day from the Thracian Valley. Wow. I mean, okay, Bulgaria. Let's see what we get. Wow, it is really brown in its first cast. So there it is. If you really want to look at the color of wine, you tilt it over, hold it over something, and you try to look through it. I can kind of see my fingers through there. It's not as dark as our previous one, and it does look brown to me. So brown, and I'm going to go deep. Okay, let's smell it. Whew. It smells, I can smell the alcohol. Wonder what it is, what the percentage is. 13.5. A little burning on the nostrils. It smells like red wine. It's kind of got that little bit of a sharp bite to it. Slight berries. I don't notice any faults, but honestly, it's not an attractive aroma. So, I mean, I did say unattractive. Okay, I'm going to give it a 4. All right, let's taste it. Okay, so it's dry. It's medium full-bodied. The acidity, it's not as tart as the other one. It's crisp. The acidity is kind of nice. I'll give it a 7. The balance. I smelled the alcohol? Do I taste the alcohol? No, I didn't. The wine tasted refreshing. It tasted good. The acidity was good. The tannins were fine. The sugars are appropriately not there. So it's got good balance. And I'll give it a 6. Now, flavors and depth. This is complexity. This is always where a wine either makes it or breaks it. There's the slightest hint of some kind of red fruit, like blackberries or currants. The wine's gripping my lips are gripping to my gums. That's the tannins. I bet if I had a slice of Gouda or something like that with this, it would taste better. It's surprisingly more flavorful than the Kirkland. I'm going to give it a 7 for complexity. Finish and length. It has a medium finish. The finish is unobjectionable. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. I'll give it a 6 for a good finish. Okay, well, very interesting. I'm going to go do my math and we'll wrap it up. Okay, here are my final scores for our 2 cheap cabs. The Kirkland Signature Bordeaux Superieur from France scored 5s all the way down. 25 points plus 50 points, 75 points. The Rough Day had more variation in its scoring, but it scored 30 points plus 50, 80 points. That's the big winner. One thing I forgot to mention about cheap wine in general, this doesn't matter if it's red or if it's white. To make cheap wine more palatable, the winemakers and producers use additives. These additives sometimes create allergic reactions in people. You might have heard somebody say, I can't drink red wine, it gives me a headache. Well, are you drinking cheap red wine that has a lot of additives in it? Food grade, yes, but additives still at the end of the day. Those can create histamine reactions, which can give you a headache. Think about it. If it's not very high quality food and you're putting it in your body, you're going to get not high quality results. Now, where do I think these two wines fit in that? I didn't sneeze. Sometimes I do sneeze when I get a low quality red wine right out of the box or the bottle. It makes me sneeze. So I'm not saying that these two wines have additives, but I'm saying keep that in mind when you're shopping for wine. I'm not trying to encourage you to not buy cheap wine. I just want you to know that cheap wines sometimes are adulterated to make them taste better with additives. Okay, so that's it. How did you like this episode? What did you think? Did you taste these two cheap wines with me? Did you taste one of them? Is $6.99 to you a cheap wine, an expensive wine? Is this your everyday drinker? What do you think? I think that for me, personally, I would be unimpressed with either of these wines. Will I drink them? Yes, I will. Will I buy them again? No, I won't. I'm not going to race out and buy a case of either of these because they are bland, which I could have pre-predicted that. I didn't need to go through all of this. I knew they would be. I know that Cabernet Sauvignon needs a little more attention. It's not really a good bulk wine. It just doesn't taste good. It's just boring at this price point. There you go. Next week for episode 7, I've got 2 California cabs that I'm going to compare that are worth more money. They're more expensive, about $20 each. I hope we get good flavor out of those. We should. And I hope you come back and watch that episode with me. That episode will go live next Friday. These episodes are all going live on Friday at noon, so I hope you enjoy it. I hope you subscribe and tune in. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you think, and I hope to see you again soon. So for me and Sarah, who I'm going to go get and have her give you her opinion of these two wines, I say à tout à l'heure, and I'm going to choose the rough day. Cheers.
Hello. So we're having a rough day. Okay, I'll sniff that one first. Well, it smells pretty fruity and jammy. I'd say their colors look fairly similar, although rough day might be a touch to the brown side. Oh, the Costco brand also smells jammy, but maybe a little chocolatey or something sweet. All right, I'll give them a taste. I'll go Kirkland Brand first. Tannins. More tart than one might have thought by the sniff test. Still though, tasty. Whew, okay. And now I have to do a rough day? Shoot, should have started with that. All right. Well, also has some tannins, maybe a little thinner, a little bit more watery, but it also didn't make my eyelid pucker. So it seems like it's a little bit less acidic, or it's because I tasted it after the Kirkland brand. I think they're fairly equivalent. Good everyday, have a glass because you have a bottle open drinkers. Thanks. Cheers.